Hello and welcome to Pam's Kitchen. I'm Pam Uten and I'm delighted you've stopped by our kitchen today. We're going to be enjoying a roasted salmon and vegetables sheet pan supper. Now we've done sheet pan suppers before, but this is probably the easiest meal preparation you will ever use in your kitchen. So we're going to start with a sheet pan that's about 10 by 15 inches, and you can either spray this with cooking spray or cover it with aluminum foil or parchment paper. And I just prefer using parchment paper because it just seems to absorb things better, and I have been more pleased with the results of using parchment paper. Now, before we even started, I am preheating the oven to 400 degrees. We're going to be roasting these vegetables and salmon, so we want to make sure our oven is preheated. Using parchment paper, we have nothing to spray. One of the secrets of cooking successfully with a sheet pan is realizing that some of your vegetables or meat have a little bit longer cooking time than others. So I'm going to start by adding the cherry tomatoes, and of course these have been washed and patted dry. This is about 3 pounds of cherry tomatoes, and I'm going to spread them out a little bit, and we're going to start by roasting these for about 5 minutes. Before we start roasting them, we will add 1 tablespoon of sun-dried tomato salad dressing. Now you can make your own by using olive oil and some chili powder and a little bit of garlic powder, not a lot of garlic powder, and even some sugar and things that we probably don't need. I'm going to add a little bit more here because this makes them so good. The reason we are doing these now is because we want them to get parched. So I'm gonna add the sheet pan lined with parchment paper to a 400 degree preheated oven. All right. And we will time this for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to be getting ready to add our asparagus, and we're going to be getting ready our salmon. I have 4 salmon fillets here, and I've already cut them in half. Again, we're cutting these salmon fillets in half because we want them to cook thoroughly in a short amount of time. Now, I think it's time to check on the progress of our cherry tomatoes. So I'll go to my oven that's been preheated to 400 degrees, and I will pull out the tomatoes, and do they smell yummy. We'll add our tomatoes back to our cabinet where we're preparing, and the reason we do this is to give a little bit thicker vegetables longer to bake. To this, we're going to be adding now 1 pound of asparagus that has been washed and patted dry, and I'll put it in, and we've got to save room for the salmon. Next, we're going to add our salmon fillets that you'll notice has been cut in half, and we'll add those to our sheet pans. We're ready now to top the remaining ingredients, the asparagus and the salmon, with our remaining sun-dried tomato salad dressing. And we will now return to the oven, where we're going to bake this for about a total of 10 minutes or 10 to 12 minutes, and halfway through we'll want to turn our asparagus over. Our oven is preheated to 400 degrees because we've already been roasting these tomatoes. Now let's transfer the salmon and the asparagus to our 400 degree preheated oven. We're going to let this roast for a total of about 10 minutes. We'll know that it's ready when our fish is flaky, or if you'd like to use a meat thermometer, fish is done at 145 degrees. It's almost impossible not to be pleased with your success of a sheet pan dinner. What's not to love? There's no cleanup, everything is cooked in one pan, and we've been known to put the whole pan on the table when it's just my husband and I eating, and maybe not even plate it with rice as we're going to be using today. But there are a couple of secrets to using sheet pan successfully. The first secret is to choose a sturdy sheet pan and one that has no indentations or dents, because those indentations could absorb or hold some of the delicious seasonings that we're adding. So we want to use a sheet pan that is sturdy and has no dents. It's been about 5 minutes, so let's check on the cooking progress and turn that asparagus over. We will give the asparagus particularly a turn and kind of spread the dressing out a little bit more. Okay, give that asparagus a turn. Oh, it's smelling so good. We've turned the asparagus and distributed the dressing a little bit more. I think it's back to the oven, where we will let it roast for another 5 to 6 minutes. The roasted salmon and asparagus has been in the oven roasting for about 10 and a half minutes. So let's take a look. As you see, the tomatoes have blistered. The tomatoes have blistered, and that's what we want to have happen. That brings out a wonderful flavor. Okay. Again, we're going for salmon that will flake, and that definitely flaked. You want salmon that will easily flake. And of course, that you see there, it has. Internal temperature should be about 145 degrees. Let's take this over now to our cabinet and enjoy this. You'll want to have ready some long grain rice to serve this with, or something else of your choice, but I particularly enjoy long grain rice. Whole wheat rice, that is. So we will serve the salmon. It's falling apart, it's so tender. That's a good sign. It is literally falling apart. It is so tender. Let's get another piece on. And let's add some of those tomatoes that have been blistered. I hope you're seeing how blistered they have become. They've literally split apart and are blistered. You know, I think it's fun the way sheet pan dinners have kind of swept the country. And as I was preparing for this taping in the past couple of weeks, I found an article from the, I think, January 21st, 2021 issue of the New York Times. And I was excited to see a whole section on sheet pan suppers and the tips. So it's not only a trend in the South, it's a cooking trend nationally. Before you serve your sheet pan supper, you might want to sprinkle some fresh basil on for added color and flavor. I did not have access to fresh basil, so I'm using dried basil, and it works wonderfully. I hope you enjoy your sheet pan supper very soon. What a great way to prepare a meal and have no dishes to clean up. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon in Pam's Kitchen.